Welcome back to the Nerdrotic channel. My name is Gary Beekler, and I am live in San Francisco, California, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com. Good morning, everybody, wherever you are. I'm on the Pacific Coast. It is 11:17 a.m., a normal late start for me. Apologies, but this is our fifth installment of our Monday morning live stream. It started out as just me practicing doing some solo stuff, just in case Dennis gets sick. And hopefully Dennis will be doing one of these someday, but instead you're stuck with me. And what we do here is we just chit chat. We talk away. We talk about the events of the day and the latest news. And it's been kind of a slow news day. That's why I was kind of holding out and waiting for somebody to pop up with something interesting news-wise. So we did get some stuff that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to talk about some other stuff that happened over the weekend. Again, apologies to people who've been here before and subscribers. Hi, Ghost World. Why am I late? You're right on time, buddy. Or is that me? Nobody cares why I'm late. I'm just late. But I show up on time to work. That's the important part. And for my kids. So WonderCon happened over the weekend. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Captain Marvel, Cloak and Dagger. I try to avoid the low-hanging fruit that is i09, but I am picking it heavily today because it was kind of a slow news day. How slow is it? We're going to be talking about ROM, the Space Knight, a little bit about Legion, Silver Surfer, Meltdown Comics closing, which was news from last week that I want to go over some more. There's a particular article in i09 that's kind of hilarious that kind of goes with that. We're also going to take a look at some of the cosplay from WonderCon, because that's probably the best bit to come out of that convention. And Captain Marvel. I might have mentioned Captain Marvel. And also, let's start out with George R.R. Martin. Now, I Googled quite a bit to find confirmation on this, but I didn't find it. But my source is Emergency Awesome, Charlie over at Emergency Awesome, who does a great job over there. Dropped last night that we are getting a book from the world of Ice and Fire this year. And before you get too excited, it's not When's a Winner. As a matter of fact, this is kind of proof that we're not going to be seeing When's a Winner for a very long time. Now, I do think we'll see it before season 8 comes out. And I think it's actually part of the marketing. George had even hinted that we are definitely getting a book this year, and it looks like he kept his promise, although I don't see a lot of other places confirming this. But Charlie at Emergency Awesome is pretty solid with his information. He wouldn't put up a video if he didn't have good sources, in my opinion. So we're getting the Targaryen book, which is Fire and Blood, and it's part 1. So what this is a lot of the stuff that was taken out of A World of Ice and Fire, a book I love and reread constantly. So and it was co-written. I think George just basically edited it, and it was written by the people who do the History of Westeros website, and or maybe the World of Ice and Fire website. I'm not sure what it's called, but they did a great job on that book. It is so fun to read for something that's just basically a history. I love the crap out of it. It's also a great audiobook read by the great Roy Dotrice. So that book is dropping November 21st in Germany. So that's what we're going off of. And we'll see if that is going to actually happen. Again, I have not seen it on George's Not a Blog, which I go to daily. And as far as When's a Winner, I think it'll be out before the show. And here's my reasoning. It's a great marketing push. And what you do is you stagger it. So you bring out the Targaryen book. Sorry, I'm blanking on the name now. Fire and Blood part 1 right before Christmas. You wait about 6 months and you do When's a Winner, and that fills the time until the end of the year till you get Game of Thrones season 8. I don't think HBO is particularly happy about this. This will be a great year for George if he does this. He will make so much money. How's it going? How's it going, everybody in chat? We got Ghost World, and Jody is here right now. And God, the guy will make so much money. And I have always been on the side of George is not our bitch. I'm starting to waver on that a little bit, though. I really, for one, just what happened at Game of Thrones season 7. I went back and rewatched it. I didn't hate it as much as I did the first time, but it's actually just the last couple episodes that get me, because as epic as the ending of the season was, it was what led up to that was just it was so rushed. It was so rushed, and the show that was really out of character for the show. So I've always liked the book a little more, and if they release Wins a Winner before the end of before season 8, you're going to see how different things are going to be, because it turned into a normal story with heroes and villains, and what George is known for is setting up expectations, then flipping the script and destroying your expectations, and that's why it's so fun to read that book. So I'm going to get to the chat. Hello, Coast Gross World says, "Why am I late?" Ghost World keeps me in check. I do appreciate that. I need that in my life. Mark Okay, Mark, man, tell me how to pronounce this last name. God dang it, Magnanet. If I'm wrong, I truly apologize. So hi, Mark, and hi, Jody. And yes, you made it. So silly question. What's the USP? What's the USP that sets WonderCon apart from San Diego Comic-Con? I don't know what USP is, but what sets it apart? It's a mini Comic-Con. They are owned by the same company, which is a nonprofit, believe it or not. It's a nonprofit organization, so it gets a lot of tax breaks. I remember I have a friend who works on the staff, who used to have to work a separate job, and now it's his full-time job. And Comic-Con for the longest time was run by about 12 to 20 people, which is incredible when you see how big it is. It's a different case now, and they have a big ticket company that works with it. A lot of stuff has changed. But a decade ago, you were able to walk up the day of con, wait in a horrendously long line for about 2 hours, and you would walk in. That's not the case anymore because they've capped the tickets. Now, I say that's San Diego Comic-Con, not WonderCon. WonderCon, and what the hell? I'll get into. Let me just wrapping up with George's stuff. I'm excited we're getting a book. I'm pissed it's not Wins a Winner. I'm hoping for 2019, but we are definitely not getting Wins a Winner this year. It's not happening. Now, back to your WonderCon question. Wow. I can go on for this entire podcast about WonderCon and the giant missed opportunity that was. Isn't Roy Dotrice dead? Did he die? I did not know that. He just did. Oh man, that would suck. Let's check. Roy Dotrice. Please be alive. Oh shit, he did die October 16th. My bad. Well, by the formerly great Roy Dotrice, and obviously he will not be reading Wins a Winner. Damn, how did I miss that? Wow, thanks for totally bumming me out, dude. No, rest in peace, sir. You lived a good long life, and I love his readings of the books. I know some people don't, but I freaking love him. He did so many great voices. The only guy that was better who was the guy who read the Harry Potter books again? Not the one in England, but Harry. Sorry, I'm doing this live audio. Oh, Jim Dale. I don't even remember that. Jim Dale. And I kind of hope Jim Dale takes over Game of Thrones. He was so good on the Harry Potter audiobooks. Yeah, what's USP? Lay it out for me. Oh my God. Hey, Gary, positive comment. Nice. Oh, the first for me, acronyms, LOLs. That's the first time for me that acronyms, that's the first time for me for acronyms, but yeah, never been to WonderCon. I stopped going to New York Comic Con. You did? I heard it was good. Why'd you stop going, Ghost World? I'm disappointed in the wait, but I'd rather wait for the right book than just be rushed for release. Agreed, Apple Crow. I mean, yeah, not pissed, disappointed, but at the same time, very happy for George. I mean, the dude has been writing for so long, and listen, let's be real. He loves, I'm sure he loves the world of Ice and Fire, loves what he's created. And he still loves writing, but I don't know if he loves writing Game of Thrones anymore. It must be so difficult and so arduous. And I'm sure he wants to finish it, but that, I mean, and a lot of people are critical that he's, gone in different areas, but I really love the fact that he let the book kind of guide itself. And he used whatever muse he had to guide that through. And I don't know. I love all the books. I even love Feast for Crows. I love that they didn't focus on the other characters. Feast for Crows and Dance for Dragons are the same book that he just split up. So, oh, LOL. No, bro, that was for me. Ghost World. Okay, that's cool. It's like manana. Oh, you've told me that before. I'm sorry, Mark. Manana. Mark Manana. It's pronounced magnet. I'm just gonna say manana. I'm gonna say Mark Manana from now on. Sorry, Gary. Unique selling point. What's its shtick? I mean, unique selling point. Gotcha. Okay. No. I mean, a Con of Thrones is basically Game of Thrones con. What about WonderCon? Okay, so WonderCon. Let's get to WonderCon. And well, I got to read one more comment before we get to WonderCon. Sorry. Yeah. Gary, yeah, his narration of Game of Thrones series was amazing, except for his voice of Daenerys in book 4. He sort of dropped the ball. Yeah. He re-recorded the Feast for Crows because it was originally done by somebody else. So he did that. I believe it was after Dance of Dragons. That I think World of Ice and Fire was his last, but his second to last was Feast for Crows because this other guy did Dance of Dragons with this super deep voice, and he just he didn't do any voices. It wasn't a horrible reading, but it wasn't better than Roy Dotrice. The worst thing HBO did was trust D&D to write the series once they passed a GRRM. They needed to bring some big guns to carry it in. D&D just want to write soapy drama. Agreed, Apple Crow. D&D were very good adapters with George looking over their shoulder, and they had another writing team that was very good. But once they were left to their own devices, all of a sudden you saw them going, I want to do different projects, and I think my mom's calling and the street lights are on and I got to go home. So bye. That's kind of what's going on. And I think a train of thought would not interrupt a good thing. Why change the winning formula? They thought so. Keep D&D was logical, but it just didn't work. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't change them out. But you couldn't even bring anybody in because their egos, let's face it, egos stop a lot of good things from happening, not just in Hollywood. Okay, so WonderCon. WonderCon started in Oakland, California, many years ago. I moved up to San Francisco in 2002. I moved up April 1st, 2002. So I'm a week away from being in San Francisco. 16 freaking years. My God. And I went to WonderCon 2003, and I had gone to every WonderCon up to 2015. So I saw it a little bit in Oakland, and it was very good when it was there. And then it moved to San Francisco to Moscone Center, and it blew up. And I retailed it all the years it was at Moscone Center in San Francisco. And it was turning into Comic-Con. It was turning into Comic-Con North, and it would have been that way. There was a couple things that happened, though, and it's very similar to what's happening in San Diego. The hotels and Moscone Center pushed it out because of the tech boom. So we had WonderCon here in San Diego, and WonderCon actually beat San Diego to putting a cap on tickets. I remember the day it happened. It was in 2007, and I walked out of WonderCon from my booth to go run to my car, and I came back, and they kept me from coming in. And I'm like, dude, I'm a retailer. I need to come in. So, and this had just happened. The fire marshal showed up, and said, there's too many people here. We're not going to let people in. And we're just holding everybody right now. So I had to wait about 10 minutes. It wasn't so bad. They said, oh, I was a retailer badge. They let me back in. But it was a situation like, when clubs get too crowded, they have that line out, they have the bouncer, and he picks people who come in. These 2 people leave, 2 people could come in, except they weren't picky. It's just like, as soon as somebody left, they let somebody else back in. And I was like, that is weird. What is going on? And they said the fire marshal showed up. Well, the next year it happened in San Diego, and they used to not really put a cap on these tickets. So anybody could show up and get in, and it worked fine. Now at this point, I see that they had to change that, because if they hadn't done that, it would have gotten ridiculous. So I do understand that. So WonderCon was as big as San Diego in just in energy. Okay, it wasn't in size or in people, but there was. I remember when. Okay, so your V for Vendetta masks that you now see everybody wear for Occupy and all that other stuff. You know where that started? You know where all those masks came from? WonderCon. It came from a V for Vendetta screening at WonderCon, and at the panel, they gave everybody a mask. And they were so goddamn popular. They were getting sold on the secondary market. They came in all 3 days and gave everybody these masks, and they were the most popular thing ever, and the thing blew up. So that phenomenon came from WonderCon in San Francisco. Also, the movie 300 was successful because of the buzz it got from, it was a good movie too, but from the buzz it got from WonderCon. It was, previewed at WonderCon. They had a panel. They had a big troop of Spartans walking around, and it got huge. So WonderCon was, people were starting to announce events there. Of course, it was San Francisco, so it's a real sexy location. The hotels are all right next to it. You're right in downtown San Francisco, so you could. It was. I mean, the parties were epic. All right, we did something at my store. James at Isotope was always good at doing like these mixers where like you couldn't even get in a store. It was so huge. And then they just up and left, and nobody said why. And in my opinion, all parties were guilty. WonderCon kind of didn't want to be there anymore. They wanted to go to LA. The hotels were not giving them deals anymore. And San Francisco was just charging too dead much for Moscone Center because they can get the likes of Steve Jobs. At that time, Steve Jobs was still alive, and he was going in and doing the Apple stuff there. And, all the tech stuff was happening. So it pushed all us little comic book people out. But it's tragedy, because if they would have stayed, it would have been as big as Comic-Con by now. It would have. And maybe and that was their whole point of WonderCon. The whole point of WonderCon is to siphon some people off of San Diego. And their thinking was, and I know this because I've talked to them, they're thinking if we do another one in California, we'll get some of the Californians to stop going to San Diego, which, I mean, let's think about this. San Diego's in California. So yeah. You can just take it right there. Yeah, and that's when it just went downhill. So they moved it to Anaheim, right next to Disneyland, and this was the worst idea ever, in my opinion. So it's just stagnated since then. So I went for a couple years, and retailing in LA totally sucks. It's terrible. Reason it's terrible is because there's a thing called Frankensons down there. And it's basically it's a permanent con location. It's a warehouse where everybody rents booths, and you go. It's open every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I believe. It's been open since the 90s. I used to go down there in the 90s, and it's a little mini con. So all your local collectors just go and get their stuff there. So ask any retailer. LA is all, Wizard World's never worked down there. And WonderCon's probably been the most successful, but it's still really meh when it comes to retailing. Now, you're next to Hollywood, and there's good cosplaying. Now, cosplaying has become such a thing to the point where I actually started calling it cosplaying. I hated that term. It's adults wearing costumes, for fuck's sake. Mr. Neely, how are you, sir? How you doing? I hope you are well. It is good to see you in the chat. Feel better, my friend. Feel better. Oh man, it's good to see him. I was thinking about you. Both Dennis and I, everybody in the chat was thinking about you. So it's really good to see you. Hey guys, just wanted to say hi. I'm back in the hospital again. So loving the vids. Oh man, I'm sorry you're in the hospital. hopefully, yeah, we can bring some lightness. I definitely plan to only be negative about WonderCon and an article on i09, but everything else is actually positive stuff today. I wanted to like spin positive today. Fair warning, in the middle of this podcast, I might have to get up for a second and get a package at the door. So I'm going to warn you. I don't know if there is a way to run an ad. I don't know if or we can just like, you guys can talk amongst yourselves while I run and take care of that. I thought I would, that was another reason I was kind of waiting. I was kind of hoping that it would show up before the podcast. So, yeah, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to there. But it is, glad to see Gary started Farscape. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I'm actually after this, I got to do some chores and I'm going to watch a couple more episodes today. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's get back to the chat now. Okay, so yeah, so WonderCon used to be this great thing, and now it's just this really average thing. I know they redid Anaheim, the convention center, but it's still it's the same reason why you can there was rumors they were going to put San Diego in Las Vegas, which is the worst idea ever. It's the same reason comic conventions don't work, because comic conventions are big stores. They're not something you go look at things. It's something where you go buy stuff mostly, and you're competing monetarily with either Vegas or Disneyland, and you're splitting dollars there. So that's why the retailing doesn't work, and it wouldn't work in Vegas because they don't allow any signage other than for casinos. You're not allowed to put up signage saying there is a con. It can be on the casino's sign, but it can't be on billboards. The casinos have a stranglehold on that. The hotels rule what happens at a Comic-Con. If they don't get good deals, then con leaves town. So San Diego will eventually, unless they redo that convention center, and I mean soon, they're going to lose Comic-Con. They will lose it, just like the Chargers. Comic-Con has become a Hollywood event. You're right. It's from what you're describing, it sounds like what happened at SDC. It became Hollywoodized. It did. And I became okay with that. I was pissed about that in 2008, but you still make money there. Like retailing, I made ridiculous money. It was really worth going. Problem is now a booth at Comic-Con is like upwards of $2,000 now. It's ridiculous. So I want to get in there as press. I've been in Comic-Con as a regular Joe Schmo, as a comic books pro, as a creator and artist. I've been there as a retailer, but I haven't been there as press yet. So Dennis and I are really moving for that with the podcast. But yeah, and Dennis and I will be there this year, and that's why I didn't go to WonderCon. I was thinking about it, but we're going to San Diego. So yeah, it's not worth going, and that's why WonderCon really isn't relieving San Diego as much. And plus, it's really hard to get into San Diego now. It's a lottery. Dennis pulled it off though. You go handle that. Ghost World's got to check out for minutes. All right, I'll be here. All right. So I'm going to look over some of the news that, like I said, it's a slow day. So Captain Marvel started production, and let's see if I can get that page up. Yeah, and it had some actually interesting news that I thought was really cool. There we go. So yeah, I know I went to i09. More on that later. But familiar faces from Marvel's past resurfaces. Production on Captain Marvel begins. Now we're gonna, they just talk about Carol Danvers, our hero, blah blah blah. But they're gonna be Jimon Hansu, who played Korath in Guardians of the Galaxy, and Lee Pace, who played Ronan, is coming back. And I don't know how big of a role, but that's cool. That's good news. I kind of like that because I like both of them from Guardians of the Galaxy. And Clark Gregg, Phil Coulson. And I don't think that's the last. I think they're going to be like we've talked about before. You can't really do a solo Marvel movie anymore. You got to put in other heroes, and that's how the comic books work. They don't need. You could still make it a Captain Marvel story. It's all her movie, but just give her a good ensemble cast. And they're trying to shoehorn her, interestingly, in the Marvel universe by having her disappear in time and stuff, which could be interesting. It all depends on Brie Larson. Brie Larson has a lot of weight on her shoulders right now. So I wish her nothing but success, and I hope the movie kicks ass. And I am actually very encouraged to hear that Ronan is going to be in it. I liked Lee Pace's Ronan. I did. It was a little over the top, but I thought it was cool. I thought it was very cool. Here we go. So the story follows Carol Danvers as she becomes one of the universe's most powerful heroes when Earth is caught in the middle of a galactic war between two alien races, the press release states. Set in the 1990s, Captain Marvel is an all-new adventure from a previously unseen period in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, does the fact that it is the hint that we're going to see the Kree-Skrull War, how does S.H.I.E.L.D. react when they become aware of Captain Marvel? Is Haley Atwell's Agent Carter not a part of this? Please let please let her be a part of this. Will the Avengers ever learn Coulson is still alive in current time? And when will audiences see how Captain Marvel meets back up in the events of the modern MCU? There are also questions we have eagerly anticipated. There are also many questions, and we eagerly anticipate the answers. I don't. I anticipate the answers, but it's not eager. I can wait. Yeah, this movie's a big deal for the Marvel universe. It really is, because they must be very relieved. Black Panther kicked ass, so you've kind of got your new Captain America right there. So you got Black Panther. You can get okay. You don't want to get rid of Cap forever. I'm still a large proponent of recasting. Okay, you just take some time, but recast. No actor is bigger than the character. I would recommend an actor. He's a little younger than Chris Evans. He plays Amos on The Expanse. Wes Chapman, I believe his name is, and he is former military, and that's why he plays that part in The Expanse so well. He's yoked up. He looks like an all-American boy, and I think he would be a fantastic Steve Rogers. Now, for a later date, okay, we're talking 5 years. 5 years. For recasting. Let build up some other characters, but yeah, if they want this thing to go forever, then you got to consider recasting, in my humble opinion. Let's get back to the chat here when I can find that window. Okay, here we go. Okay, so Jody says back on the WonderCon, yeah, a friend of mine that frequents cons told me the best time to buy stuff, because the retailers do not want to haul it home, you're talking about Sunday? Yeah, Sunday's that is so true. I didn't want it. It was the best time to hit me up. Yeah, that is the best time to buy stuff at WonderCon. People saying much deserved nice things to Mr. Neely, who is, if you're watching this is the first time you're watching this, he is a frequent guest in our chat. I first saw him for our Star Trek stuff, and he brings the knowledge. He brings the knowledge. Like I said, the chat makes this podcast. We heavily rely on you. Gary, did my YouTube experiment work? It did not. Okay, so they have a new camera feature that's supposed to be basically I can sit down, click on a camera, and go. But the thing is, it's so bare bones. I can't put a place card up. I can't share a picture. I can title it, and that's about it. The one advantage is it runs directly through your camera instead of going through the internet and then back through your camera. So I can run it at at 1080p instead of 720, but you don't really want to see me in 1080p. Nobody watches us anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I was just thinking, if it had more tools. I think that's what what it looks like they're doing is they're going to get rid of Hangouts and make this camera feature, because a lot of people use stream keys, and I think they want to get rid of that too, so where you could just run everything through YouTube, and that is way overdue. This is why we have competition and meritocracy. Twitch shows up, YouTube starts doing shit. It's wow. It's like it's capitalism. Competition. It works, okay? It does. Twitch does a lot of things better than YouTube. I just except I don't love the interface there. And I'm not a gamer. So, it's my kid loves it. So, he says it's great. Let's do. Apple Crow says I still want a Giga Horse toy. Yes, Pacific Rim did come out this weekend. It opened up to 28 million, and that was kind of something I was going to talk about too. Was are Marvel movies sucking the life out of absolutely everything? And the answer is yes. The answer is absolutely yes. They other studios can't compete at this point, and they have fallen so far behind. That's why I think Warner scrapped the whole like cinematic universe thing, and I think that's really smart. Just keep coming out with singular movies with keep your focus singular. Circle your wagons because Disney's whooping your ass right now. Dude, with The Last Jedi that just came out, and then Black Panther making twice as much as projected. Infinity War, sky's the limit on them. They do wow. Disney could possibly have two top 10, top 5 all-time movies gross in 1 year. That's insane. Yes, they did recast Edward Norton and Rachel Dawes. Yes, they did. Mark Ruffalo is my favorite Hulk. Ed too. I don't know. Ed Norton would make a good Reed Richards. He really would. That's really good. I like that, Apple Crow. My pick was Tenet. But Ed Norton would be good if he wasn't such a pain in the ass. So yeah, Marvel, Disney. Yeah, okay. Jody says things change, right, Gary? Marvel / Disney is on top for now. Yep, the pendulum always swings. And we've talked about like where does this end? My opinion is that it ends as far as being just in the stratosphere after Avengers 4. And that's pretty much what everybody else is saying. Like after Avengers 4, it's going to calm down. Okay. And I think they should, they shouldn't expect Captain Marvel to make $1 billion. They should be, if it makes Doctor Strange money or better, perfect. That's good. You can keep going. The problem is once you feed the shareholder, the stockholders and the board members $1 billion movies, one after the other, they don't stop being hungry for that, and that's going to be a problem. You got to keep making things bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's unsustainable. Having Star Wars and Marvel as a IP is unsustainable. Those things are getting so expensive. So I don't know. I don't know where it goes from here. I think Disney used to be really good at taking a break, putting stuff in the vault, and that might be a smart move to take a little break. I think comic book movies, I was of mind that it was just a short-lived subgenre. I have now changed my mind, and I think they can, in some form or another, last forever. We won't always get 10 a year. It might turn into I think westerns is a good equation there. Westerns were king for so long, and we still get one once in a while, and I think that's what it'll be. Is just someday we'll get a superhero movie once in a while. Dennis and I were debating on CW last night, and it really got me thinking today of what was the perfect comic book TV show. Like what stands out above the rest of all time? And I thought about it, and I think it was the X-Men cartoon from the 90s. I think the X-Men cartoon from the 90s. And hear me out, because everybody's going to go, nope, Batman the Animated Series. Well, Batman the Animated Series was in quality better, storytelling better. But when it comes to adapting comics and creating fans, I don't think the animated series created as many Batman fans as X-Men created X-Men fans. That in tandem with some really popular books in the 90s and this big 90s comic boom, the X-Men cartoon made more fans than the comic book did. And that's just from my little bit of research, owning a comic store and retailing at cons for a decade. Every X-Men fan I spoke to of a certain age, which is about 10 years younger than me, all became fans from the X-Men cartoon. They adapted the stories from the comics perfectly. Now, Batman loosely adapted comics. They kind of made their own stories from stuff. All right. And they were damn good ones. Don't get me wrong. And I think it's apples and oranges. But as far as pure comic book, the X-Men basically refined the stories and made them small as they could, and kept the continuity. And that's what made it easy for people to go read the comic books from the cartoon, because it felt like you were existing in the same world and it was just a little extra. They need to do that with the CW TV shows. They seem to think they're very clever by, and I know it's hard to adapt DC because there's so many universe starts and restarts, but you've only got like 5 or 6 seasons of a TV show on average. Okay. Which means you can go through Flash's 70 something years of existence, 50, 70 something years of existence, and pick out 5 seasons worth of his best stories and not add anything. And you would still have enough drama and relationships. Yes, of course, you got to modernize it to 2000 to current year, but there's still enough story there that all you have to do is adapt. You don't have to really make up anything. I think a lot of that, though, is what Dennis was saying last night was budgetary. I think that's starting to hinder them because as these shows go on, they're getting less money, which makes no sense because people still talk about them and they still get pretty decent ratings. It's not great. They've had a rough year, to be honest with you. But let's go back up and talk to the chat. Mr. Langley, I love it when people agree with me, by the way, and especially Mr. Neely. Langley says, agreed, no actor is bigger than the role. I kept on hearing that the Joker is dead on film after Heath Ledger, and I was like, no. For one, that was a great Elseworlds Joker, but that was not the Joker. The real Joker is Mark Hamill's voice portrayal in animated series. That's the real Joker. We need a Joker like that on film. And honestly, that's the real Batman too. I have yet to see a definitive Batman in all these movies. Ben Affleck, I believe, has come the closest. I like Christian Bale, but he is again like an Elseworlds Batman to me. Ben Affleck's Batman was really good. I hope they stick with him. I respectfully disagree with my co-host. I think he makes a great Bruce Wayne too. Do you think he has the charisma to become Cap when it comes to? That's a good question. He plays really good. I'm talking about Wes Chapman from The Expanse. He looks the part. I have not seen him play enough stuff other than Amos and being in some movie. Can he pull off being respectfully stoic, but not boring, but still like Cap's got a, Chris Evans has natural charm. So that's a good question that I do not know the answer to. And that's weird. They almost have to cast an actor who's normally known as kind of a jokey, quippy actor, like not Chris Pratt, but like a Chris Pratt, because behind that you see the charm. So when he's being stoic, it's not like I am Captain America and I have a shield and I'm going to go fight some Nazis. Let's go. Yeah, because stoic can get really boring. It's important in every, like everybody hates Scott Summers because he's stoic and he's a leader, but he's necessary. I don't, but a lot of people do. Jody says Lee Pace's Ronan should have totally done that dance off, right? The only time I can see that being crazy enough to work is Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Imagine that final battle dance off. That'd be great. Oh God. Uh, Apocro says Amos for Cap. I don't think he's not pretty enough. My wife would disagree. I don't know. Um, they're talking about Mark Ruffalo, who is just again, another charming actor. I'm not crazy about some of his personals. I really did. You know what? One of the best things I've ever done in my life is I stopped watching all network news. I don't watch a second of it. And I pretty much, if it wasn't for this damn YouTube, I'd be completely off Twitter. I'm on there once in a while, but I don't, I stay within the realm of talking about comics and movies and stuff. And I do not hit on politics. And I end up just being happier. It really does. Jody says, I like David Tennant as Reed. If he wasn't Kilgrave, I know, but that rule's been so broken now. Oh, but what if Kilgrave was Reed Richards? Ooh, I don't know. Man, did Jessica Jones miss Kilgrave? And nobody wants to come out and say it, okay, for obvious reasons, but it's not a male female thing. It's a you're only as good as your villain thing. The villain was, while interesting in Jessica Jones, it would have been interesting. I'm surprised they broke the formula on this one and didn't give us two villains. So yeah, and they stuck with her the whole damn season. I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Reed Richards 3 to 5 years from now, Mr. Neely. That is a great choice. But I just, JGL, I dig him. I dig him in anything. Dante S says Doctor Strange was a legit good film and it holds up. Agreed. I actually wasn't crazy about it in the theaters and saw it on my big screen and loved it. Yeah, I love Doctor Strange. I had a little trouble with Benedict Cabbage Patch's American accent, but it's not bad. It really isn't. I've heard worse. I'm just so used to him in Sherlock. It was me. I won't let it go. Peter Weller for Dark Knight Returns Batman, says Apple Crow. Yes. Film that now. Take my money. Who would you have direct that? Who could direct Peter Weller in The Dark Knight Returns? I put that out to you guys out there. I'd have to think about it. They just should have reined in Jared Leto a bit. He seemed to use the role as an excuse to act like a douche. As for Bats, Kevin Conroy remains my favorite. He is the quintessential Bat Bruce Wayne. Agreed. He is. Channing Tatum for Cap. I want to say no outright, but then I can't. He's pretty charming. He comes off as pretty charming. I don't know. Again, he would do that wholesome but goofy. Yeah, and it wouldn't be bad if somebody came in and just gave a different spin on Cap, like they did with Bond. Don't act like Chris Evans. Maybe we get not a super quippy Cap, but there's multiple Caps you can go with. You can go with a little quippy. You can go with like straight up soldier, like he is like almost the Punisher. And yeah, you definitely go with that. I think that Sound of Silence video really got to Ben Affleck. It did, right? People think you never know who's watching. Oh, I meant to bring this up. You never know who's watching when you're at any time when you're on your Facebook, when you're just doing a little fun video, when you're putting up a meme. We found out recently that of course we recap TV shows, right? And very recently we find out that especially the ones we're way more positive on, like Counterpart, Ash vs. Evil Dead, and Happy, that stars of the show they see your chat, they're watching us, so you never know who's watching us. Old friends from the past, old people from the past. Yeah, I definitely got to watch what I can't, it's impossible, but the stuff that flies out of my pie hole is like, yeah, I don't want to out the person, but I got a random Facebook message from somebody in the past, and I was joking around on a previous podcast, and yeah, I was like, "You were watching, really?" Oh man. JP says Ronald D. Moore. Ronald D. Moore for Dark Knight Returns. I would say let him write it. I love Ronald D. Moore. Oh, the news is the blues. I never watch it. That's right. That's why your commentary is on point. Ah, thanks. They kind of gave us two halves of a villain, and neither were really villainous in Jessica Jones 2. No, they really wanted to flip the script. Like, we're gonna deal with the postmodernism and the grayness of life, and yeah, man, like nobody's bad and nobody's good. Things just happen, and we go on with our life, and these are the times we live in. Yeah, like I said, Hollywood needs to write a gratitude list. Hollywood needs a sponsor, needs to go to some 12-stepping. There's plenty of 12-stepping going on there. Not a lot of practicing, though, and needs a sponsor. Hollywood needs to do 90 and 90. This will sound insane, but Zack Snyder to direct The Dark Knight Returns, but no one will let him anywhere near that script. I will double your insanity. 300 was a good movie, was it not? 300 was a good movie. I am a fan of Watchmen. I am unapologetically a fan of Watchmen. I think Zach should not be doing Justice League, and I think he should be doing Dark Knight Returns. I think he would be fantastic at it because you're adapting a Frank Miller comic book. Zach and Frank are perfect for each other. If you've read The Dark Knight Returns, it is a Zack Snyder movie. I mean, it is. You know, I don't know if Zach was a comic fan beforehand. I think he was. I could see Dark Knight Returns being a heavy influence on him. I've always enjoyed The Dark Knight Returns more than I like Watchmen. But it doesn't have the depth of Watchmen, but it's more fun. Frank Miller is able to take dark material and make it fun. At least he used to be. JP says, God, I need more Counterpart. Yeah, Counterpart taking a week off was, why are you punishing us? What did we do to you? We were loyal viewers. Unless they were busy making a hole to another reality. Here you go. Terry Gilliam to direct The Dark Knight Returns. If you can rein that dude in, I don't think it's possible anymore. Hell yeah. I'm the biggest Terry Gilliam fan. I even like the Zero Theorem. I thought that was pretty good. Gary, did you read the What If comic where Captain America was the Punisher? Yes. Yeah, no, that was a good. I love. You notice I'll title some of these podcasts "What If." What If is actually one of my favorite titles. I love that title. I was so pissed when they got rid of it. Zev Bellringer says, I enjoyed Watchmen in cinema. I enjoyed it, and I love that 4-hour version. It was Derek Robertson who's like, man, you got to watch the 4-hour version. It is the shit. I'm like, all right. And I did, and he was right. I don't know if Counterpart is taking to. Where did you read that? Because somebody else said that, and then we reported it. But then I went back and looked, and they're in production for season 2 right now. So I'm wondering if it's a rights thing. I'm not saying, Mark, that you're wrong. I think that's unfortunate. I don't think that's a wise move. It's not a big enough show to take 2 years off, unless there's some kind of weird scheduling thing with J.K. Simmons. I enjoyed Sucker Punch, Zev Bellringer. That movie got ruined for me, Zev, because I worked on the Blu-ray of it, so I saw just 15 minutes of it, like almost 300 times, and it gives me I won't say PTSD. Some people use that so much. I need to stop using it. It gives me nightmares. We'll just say that. PTSD is actually not something to joke about. It's obvious that Zach loves The Dark Knight Returns. Yeah, isn't it? Don't know anymore. Somewhere on the internets. Well, it's got to be true, Mark. No, yeah, Mark, I saw it somewhere too, and then I saw a conflicting report saying it's in production right now. So let's cross our fingers. Let's cross our fingers. My ex-girlfriend is currently working on Counterpart season 2. Say what? Neely, have you thought about reconciling just for a little bit? You know, take one for the team. No, just kidding, buddy. That's cool. So I don't know how much you can say. I don't want you to get her in trouble or anything. God, there's so many things I wish I could, and I am a blabber. I'm a bit of a blabber. That's why my friends don't tell me too much, but man, I'm sworn to secrecy on a couple things, but I wish I could tell you guys. Oh my God, you would freak out. What about Fincher or Nolan for Dark Knight Returns, Gary? Yes. Jonathan Nolan. Yes, Jonathan Nolan. Not Chris. Jonathan, very good pick out there. Yeah, Jonathan Nolan is going to be a big star. Did you guys see the new poster for Westworld? It's kind of a little one, but let's take a look at it. I am so goddamn excited about this show. We were one of the only ones doing like live recaps after that show. I mean, I know people were excited. I was in from that first trailer that came out a year before. I was like counting the days for it because I love that movie. So that's the reason we're doing TV recaps. Was we got a positive response. It was the first recap we did that got 1,000 views. And that blew me away because at the time we had 30 subscribers. So it was the first thing that bumped us up subscribers. I think it bumped us up to 89. And then the last two we did got a couple thousand views each. And I used to do those with my wife, and we had my friend Emo Gonzalez call in on an iPad. And we did. If you want to go back and look at those, I'm 50 pounds heavier. My beard, I believe, is longer. Yeah, it was really freaking long, like really long. I'm looking forward to putting on my bowler cap again and getting down to some Westworld. And yeah, it's just a little art poster. I don't think things look good for the Man in Black, who I secretly root for. Is that bad? Is that bad that I secretly root for Ed Harris as the Man in Black? Because I know what he represents. You know, he represents all us bad males. I really sorry, excuse me. I really think that Counterpart taking a week off in the middle of the finale was a big mistake. Better to have pushed back both parts of the finale. Agreed, Apple Crow. Their thinking was they would have more eyes on Easter Sunday. Well, then just push the damn show out another week. Why'd you release it that? I don't, yeah, that. If any creatives are watching me, listen to the people in the chat, listen to your viewers, listen to us. This isn't a world that takes breaks anymore. We don't need breaks. We can watch the Olympics and Counterpart. We can watch Counterpart anywhere now, anywhere. So we're not worried about Easter Sunday. I'm in probably one of the least religious cities in America. We take Easter Sunday off. It's kind of quiet, but just as much of us would have watched it last Sunday, the next Sunday. And here's the problem with it. Here's the big mistake you made. If you would have ended it last Sunday, you would have had people just talking about Counterpart, not Counterpart, for a week, right? Next week, Legion premieres. Expanse premieres the following week. Westworld's the week after that. Counterpart will be old news. Old news by the time Legion comes out. And yes, these are similar audiences. Like I would say a good, I don't know, a large portion of Legion probably watches Counterpart or knows about Counterpart or is gonna watch Counterpart. That you're all drawing from the same fandom here. So I think you would have gotten that extra week to talk about Counterpart. And yeah, it's like I said in the comic store. They always talk about comics being, well, we're going to put a number one on it because it's a jumping on point. It's also a jumping off point. So anytime you take a break, as much as you have got people catching up and you got everybody catching up to watch the show, and a lot of people are, as many people will just, I'll watch that, or be traveling Easter and then, I'll watch it later. It's on my phone now. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was a good idea. That was kind of a long one, but I don't think it's a good idea. Okay, so reports that Counterpart season 2 will air early in 2019, according to Den of Geek from JP. JP, thank you for that information. That is good news. That I love good news. Ghostworld says, Jody, somewhere buried in there. I'm still digging to find it, man. I really like Sucker Punch. A lot of people do. It's the quote unquote fantasy parts of it are very cool. There are some very cool parts of it. I am not a Zack Snyder hater at all. Uh, uh, LOL. She was in Get Out. Her name is Betty Gabriel. Oh, so she's in like an actress. Oh, damn. Well, right on, Mr. Neely. Well played. Well played. I need to see Get Out like now. Amazon should explore What If as a weekly series. Oh my God. See, we're deep enough into the comic book in the MCU to totally do that. And you could, oh my God, you could do so much fun. You could bring back Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man and do what ifs with that. Alpert, some of DC's best stories. He said there are some great Elseworlds. Some of DC's best stories are Elseworlds. I think we'll actually get that someday. Anthology shows are becoming a thing. Do a comic book one. Freaking Elseworlds. And that way you can get around the Batman IP and you can do Gotham by Gaslight, like live action, stuff like that. You know, Red Sun. Wouldn't you like to see a Red Sun movie? I mean, I'd love to see a DC animated one and Kingdom Come. We were talking about that last night. I really want to see Paul Dini, Bruce Timm do Kingdom Come. I know it's opposite of Alex Ross art, but they would handle the story the best and make it like a two-parter, release it in theaters, take my money. Yeah, Legion just put out another promo today, a first look. I'm so excited. They have not held back on the trailers on this thing. They're coming out stuff every Monday. They're coming out with a new trailer. Yes, catch up on Legion. Apple Crow says it reminds me to catch up on Legion. I'm still on episode 1. Once you get past episode 2, it really gets rolling, man. It's so hard to convince people to watch Counterpart. Spy shows aren't what the geeks want. But you know what? We can't give everybody what they want, but we got to give them what they need. Does that sound ambiguously wise enough? There you go. I feel bad. I rented Get Out and then I let it expire. Oh man, you let Get Out. That's too bad. Yes, Gary, Sucker Punch was a great spectacle, but great, well executed story. Not so much. It's one of those things I was talking about on Farscape. It's bad but cool, or not good but cool. Not good but cool. All right, so they're doing an animated movie for Red Sun. Not sure when it's dropping. I did hear that, and I can't wait. I wonder who's behind it. Because where DC animated used to be 100% solid, it's kind of been a little iffy lately. You know, there's a lot of changes going on at WB right now. So, you know, I think creatively there's a lot of stuff going on too. So let's pick okay, this is a weird one. You guys like the Silver Surfer? I like the Silver Surfer quite a bit. And there's been a lot of rumors that he's going to be in Avengers 4, and it's based on a tweet, which file this under this could be complete bullshit. Okay. Actually, I might make that a playlist. Actually, that should probably be the tagline. We're working on a tagline for our t-shirt. So it's either going to be not good but cool. Your reviews are too long. Or file this under complete bullshit. I don't know. I'll come back at you. Okay, so I don't know who this guy is, but he's tweeting out, and if this is just a troll job, I'm high-fiving this guy over the internet. So Kurt Clendon, Silver Surfer and Avengers Affinity War, and he tweeted that his dreams came true, and he tweeted the address of Disney, and then he put Mike Allred's Silver Surfer as his cover photo on Twitter, and the internet did what the internet does. Kurt Clendon, Silver Surfer in Avengers Infinity War. It's being claimed that Kurt Clendon or Clendenin, just Kurt. I'm terrible with last names, but I got a hard one too. So we'll be playing the Silver Surfer in Avengers Infinity War. Oh, what? I thought it was Avengers 4. A few days ago, we saw the UK tabloids, very reliable source, sites run with the story that last-minute secret cameo that has been added to the Avengers Infinity War with Kurt Clendenin, Silver Surfer. Now, don't worry if you haven't heard of Kurt, because I haven't, as he is relatively unknown actor. But bear in mind, the Silver Surfer would be CGI if used for Avengers Infinity War, which they should have. They mentioned Doug Jones, and what's Doug Jones busy? Much the same how Doug Jones played the Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four. Doing some digging, it appears that Kurt was added to the Avengers Infinity War IMDb. Well, I added somebody to the Game of Thrones IMDb, listing as Silver Surfer, which Metric picked up on as the site scrapes IMDb and mirrors the listing. Well, IMDb can be edited by users, so bear that in mind. I can actually recall that John Cena was one time listed as being on Thor Ragnarok, but that never happened, and his name was eventually removed. Presently, the Kurt Silver Surfer has been removed from the IMDb metric. What is rather interesting is that Kurt's name appeared on the Avengers Infinity War IMDb page right around the release of the new trailer, new poster. What's worth mentioning, why it's worth mentioning, is because that the new poster revealed Peter Dinklage could the name user could the name user have added Peter Dinklage to the Infinity War IMDb page, also having added the Kurt Silver Surfer. Maybe the user didn't realize it was supposed to be a secret. Oh, okay. Heck, maybe Peter Dinklage is really playing Galactus. Think of the irony. No offense meant. What? Yeah, no offense meant. That's bullshit. And Kurt is really the Silver Surfer. Wouldn't that be wild? Yeah. Peter Dinklage as Galactus. Let that one sit in. Now, before you argue that Fox Studio owns Silver Surfer and Galactus, that it can't be featured in Marvel Studios movie, I have a couple of counter arguments for you. First, Spider-Man. Oh, come on, go deeper than that, dude. So yeah, I'm gonna stop. Basically, yes, they could work a side deal and trade something really quick. Going, can we, like this deal's gonna get done? Can we just, I'll let you use so and so. And we get to like put a cameo of Silver Surfer so we can finally tease Galactus. Because as far as threatening villains go, the only one that is more threatening than Thanos, arguably, is Galactus. And he is, the MCU is going to need Doctor Doom in soon. But Galactus and the Silver Surfer showing up at the end of, I would say, Avengers 4, not Infinity War, to carry things over, I think would be great. They were even talking about here. It's actually been said that Marvel originally wanted to trade Daredevil rights to Fox for both Silver Surfer and Galactus, but reportedly Fox turned down the offer. Obviously, it seems Marvel wanted Silver Surfer and Galactus for some reason. Maybe Avengers Infinity War or Avengers 4. They want them because they're cool. And they're going into, they're really diving into this galactic. This is going to be a big part of their next phase. And who's more galactic than the Silver goddamn Surfer? Which we've talked about before. That was supposed to be the very first Marvel movie, was Silver Surfer, way back in the 80s. They even did some promo for it. Obviously, this is a lot of speculation, but it would totally rock if the Silver Surfer appeared somehow in Avengers Infinity War. If they actually do something with him, I think it would be rad. If it's just like, here, take a look, then no. God, I those Fantastic Four movies have a soft place in my heart because my oldest son loved them when he was little. He's not little anymore. He's like 5 inches taller than me. But it reminds me of better days, or better days. Well, not better days, but days when he was young. We love to see our kids grow up, but it's both wonderful and heartbreaking at the same time. But yeah, he's a lot taller and smellier and not as cute as he used to be. I mean, he's a very handsome guy, but yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Silver Surfer possibly coming back. That would be Mark says Silver Spike. What's up, Silver Spike? Said Ed Harris is great. When I talked about is it wrong if the Man in Black is I root for him, and Mark says the Man in Black is our hero. Yeah, these robots. So they're becoming self-aware, and the first thing they want to do is how come in every Hollywood movie, like once something becomes self-aware, the first thing it wants to do is kill its maker. I mean, it's all Frankenstein over and over and over again. Yeah, because it's like punishment to be alive. I'd be all, wait a minute, you made me with basically superpowers. Thanks. See ya. Now, okay. They were abused pretty bad. I'll say that. And since they can remember all of it, it's pretty horrible. It's pretty horrible. So I kind of can't understand it, to be honest with you. Especially what the Man in Black did. Boy. It's hard to compete. Okay, so we already saw that. Or they're doing a movie, Red Sun. Gotham by Jody says Gotham by Gaslamp was a bit of a letdown. Not as disappointing as The Killing Joke, though. Somebody else said that in another stream I saw. I was bummed. I love that story. Yes, I could see the Silver Surfer being an Avenger 4. That would be fun. And you want to get people excited. And I'll put this out to the chat because I am personally not super excited about Captain Marvel. If they made her look, and I mean, not with the sash and wearing next to nothing, but if they made her look a little more like Miss Marvel, I'd probably be more excited. But Brie Larson, who I like, and Scott Pilgrim and everything, was just not the first person in my head as Miss Marvel. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not super excited, but it still could be good. I don't know. Maybe some of you are, and I could be totally off base on that one. That's fine. What about progress, not perfection for the tagline? It'll remain. Well, we can't use it as a tagline because I mean, I'm pining AA for that. Yeah, I want to kind of something that we brought up. What was the other one I said is come for the snap judgments and stay for the uninformed opinions, stuff like that, real tongue-in-cheek stuff, self-deprecating, or just honest. I don't know what the difference is. The response to what did Mark say up here? I'm normally not a spy fan, says Mark. Bond bores me to death, but love Counterpart. Okay. I can get that. And Jody's response is, depends on which Bond. I enjoy spy thrillers that rely less on gadgets and more on tradecraft. But Burn Notice was a fave of mine because of how well it was executed and written. Yeah, it's all about the writing with spy stuff. Spy stuff can be really fun. Spy stuff needs to be fun. And that's what it needs to be. And Counterpart, in a very weird way, is a fun show. There's a lot of serious material there, but and that's why it's not just a spy drama. It's a sci-fi. It's you're fighting yourself, and how do you outsmart yourself? The one of the repeated themes in Counterpart is like when you play chess with yourself, it's always a draw. It's always a draw. So how do you get an upper hand on yourself? I think that's awesome. I want to see that explored. Chris Evans must be dreading he ever sees that effing surfer again. True, Zev. That is so true. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, for example. Both of those are, or La Femme Nikita. That's good spy shit right there. But some of it's like really drab and boring too. I agree. I saw Leverage. But really have no recollection of the story or the actors. I You know what? I have the same opinion on that. I've seen that show and I remember nothing from it. It was a show that happened that had scenes and words that weren't extraordinary, but weren't bad. Um, Silver Spike said, I met Steve Norrington at a party years back, and he was trying to get a Silver Surfer movie off the ground. The studios rejected his pitch because his character would have been fully CGI. That's hilarious. That is, well, back then it might have been hard. I love Steve Norrington. I do. I think he's a fine director and has done very good stuff. So, David 404 said, was it against the Sash Age swimsuit? Well, see, I have to temper that for the ladies. I mean, my first choice would be for her to have her straight up Miss Marvel look from the 70s. But as I get to an article later by i09, it uses my favorite word, my favorite word to hate. That would be problematic. Yeah, because making money is problematic now. It would be problematic for the truth. If they popped her in that costume, it would make more money. And that would be problematic for Hollywood going, Hollywood must be just in a quandary right now because sex still sells, but we've become so freaking PC now that we've got to put Captain Marvel in like, not only, okay, I can understand not doing the swimsuit thing. I get it. Okay. But you can put her in a fighting suit that's still not frumpy. Okay. And maybe that costume is better later. Hopefully we'll see a better picture later. So I don't know. I know that picture is just like of an initial costume. I know. But my point is that Hollywood's kind of in a quandary right now. They can't use the one thing that they've been using to make money since the get-go. And they can't look like the hypocrites they kind of are, because they're more worried about pissing off certain sects now. Then this is where art is getting compromised. You know, that's why there's a whole comic book thing going on. That's why the Gamergate thing happened. There's a lot of side stuff, but at the core is you're messing with our enjoyment of stuff because you have a problem with it when you don't need to buy it or watch it. Okay. It is made for a crowd. It is not everything is made for mass appeal. Not everybody is supposed to love everything. Okay. And video games are video games, and there's different types of video games. So the video games that you don't like, you don't have to buy. So to keep people from playing games that you have a problem with is not only nosy, and it's controlling, it's manipulative, and you're just out there to destroy something because you don't like it. I mean, there's stuff I don't like out there in entertainment. I don't want people to not watch it. I don't want it to not exist. And we can use all kinds. Listen, I'm a recovering alcoholic. So do you ever hear me or actually any other recovering alcoholics going, I want everybody to stop drinking because it's uncomfortable for me? Every time I enter a room, hide your alcohol. Actually, you know what? Alcohol should be illegal again because it might make me feel uncomfortable. How would people react to that? That's bullshit. So, yeah, that's it. So like my disease is my problem, and I don't expect anybody to change anything. You know, like when I first got sober, my family would freak out every time I got in the room. It was like, oh, we got to hide the wine. And then it's like, listen, no. For one, that doesn't help me at all. I got to get used to being around it and not wanting to every time somebody turns their back. And I used to do this as a kid. Like if a wine bottle was left on the table and somebody left the room, dude, I was pounding that thing. I was, and this was at 10. Yeah. So yeah, built-in addict, born an addict. Okay. So yeah, that's basically what's going on with video games. Yeah, there's a lot of nasty shit in it. Guess what? We got free speech. There's a First Amendment out there. Art should never be compromised. If you don't like it, don't buy it. There's certain things. Of course, we have to have limits and stuff like that. That's how I feel about it. The Comic Book Legal Defense Fund used to be all about that, and they're not anymore, which sucks. I used to be a big backer of them because, Crossed by Avatar is a freaking horrible comic. It's horror porn basically. It's people who really love watching people get sliced up and babies burned. It's like the most extreme stuff after. It exists basically for the First Amendment and for some very sick writers who need to get. I'm glad they get that stuff out in comic books. I'll just be honest there. I did not carry that comic book in my store because I had a choice not to do it. And I considered it adult. I considered it porn, as equal to porn. So I didn't carry it. I don't want other shops to not carry it. I want the comic to succeed and make money, and the creators to make money, and because it's art in a form that I don't like. I don't think it shouldn't exist. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised if it was bigger, some people would come out against it, I'm sure. Yeah, because if you read Crossed, Grand Theft Auto has got nothing on that comic. Nothing. So yeah, that's how I feel about that stuff. And the word problematic, and here, I'll get to this since I'm on my little ranty rant now. Let's get to i09. And again, low hanging fruit. That is i09. Hi, Feisty fan. How you doing? I thought you had stuff to do. I'm glad you made it. You got me when I was ranting. I was trying to not be super ranty, but they were talking about, okay. Now, I don't disagree entirely with this article, by the way. I think they have some, ooh, I got out of focus there. What happened? Is it going to get into focus? I'm waiting. That's weird. It's supposed to be auto-focusing and it's not. Okay, let's share an article then. Let's share an article and maybe it'll focus. Okay. So present to everybody, and we got how Cloak and Dagger reimagines some problematic elements from the old comics. Okay, so complex article here for me, because I just focused in on the word problematic, and I'm also going to look for my little, I think I got a smudge on my camera. Where is my little duster? Okay. Sorry, doing this on the air while the article is up. Yeah, I think a little smudge got on my camera. All right, so one of the more challenging parts of adapting comic books for television and film these days is that showrunners have to find a way of reconciling with sometimes problematic aspects of the source material that, frankly, just haven't aged well. Take, for example, Marvel's Cloak and Dagger. In the comics, first published back in the 80s, during those horrible segregation times we lived in the 80s, where none of us lived together, and it was horrible. It was rioting on the streets, and our overlord Reagan was oppressing us all. There was a lot of drugs, though. I'm sorry, I'm putting that over. 80s, during the height of Reagan administration's war on drugs, which was kind of futile, to be honest with you. The titular heroic duo are imagined as a pair of runaway teens, which gain their powers as a result of experimental drugs. Tandy, Dagger, is a girl from a wealthy white family and gifted with the ability to create daggers of hard light that can cure people of their addictions. Oh man, give me one of those. Tyrone Cloak, by contrast, which is one of my favorite superheroes with the craziest, coolest power I've ever seen. I loved Cloak and Dagger. I'm inserting this, by the way. Their appearance in Spectacular Spider-Man in the early 80s was some of the best comic books I've ever read. Is a black boy with a working class background who was given the ability to teleport, a power that comes with the unfortunate and implicitly racist drawback of crippling addiction to other people's life force that only one can be stated, either drained folks or being exposed to Dagger's light. Okay. I would understand why it's changed that. There's things you got to change, and they're kind of flipping the script. Don't have a problem with that. The best example was Robbie Reyes of Ghost Rider. I think in Marvel's attempt, and then they echoed this in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and you've heard this before. to not be racist, they tripped over their feet and became racist by making Robbie Reyes from Lavario and working in an auto shop and having, gang relations. I know a lot of Mexican Americans, and I'm sure you do out there, who have never met a gang member and who have been lawyers, owned restaurants, car dealerships, like, why couldn't he have, I don't know, been a manager at, why did it have to be like a mechanic? Why couldn't it be a manager of, just a normal job, like an O'Reilly's or something like that? That's my whole point, is like, usually Hollywood's the most racist. They are. Okay. So they're flipping the script on this. I'm going to paraphrase. They're going to make her poor, and Cloak's character from the wealthier family, which is fine. I have no problem with that. But they start using words like optics and problematic, and it triggers me a little bit. I'll admit. The word trigger triggers me. The optics alone are enough to make the idea of Cloak and Dagger TV show somewhat questionable. But that's something the showrunner Joe Pakaski went in knowing, and have to be knowing the show would have to be modified in order to make freeform series work. In a recent interview with Sci-Fi, Pakaski explained how, while people may have nostalgia for the comics, the fact of the matter is there was a lot about the characters that was straight up racist and sexist. I don't agree with that 100%. I think it insensitive because of the times might be a better saying, but then I look at the source of this article, the Mary Sue, and then I go, never mind, it's all bullshit. So Marvel has been fantastic in letting me take Essence of Tandy and Tyrone and really make them into 2018. Again, you always have to change stuff for television. You do. So why the hell not? Not a ton of people know about Cloak and Dagger. As long as you keep it, I'm really big on them coming from the streets and dealing with drugs and stuff like that. And you can mix in recovery. What's one of the best redemption stories? I love redemption stories, right? And I see them every day. I go to an AA meeting. I see redemption stories in each individualist, and to be redeemed, you have to do in the story some bad shit. Okay. And are we going to start seeing like these really homogenized, boring, like it's just going to be characters showing up. They're just going to automatically good. We can't show anything bad anymore. So therefore we can't redeem anything. And my whole point, and I've been saying this every live stream, is art has been compromised, and we're not going to get good stories out of this now unless we stop just realizing it's just a story. We're not condoning anything. What we're condoning is good storytelling. Okay. That's it. That's the only thing we're condoning. But if you write something in a story, it's because you're writing a story. But you now have writers going, oh shit, yeah, I can't have, like, like, good luck seeing a man hit a woman. You probably won't see that for a long, long time. It's not like you want to see that, but if you check that off your list or even alluding to it, you don't have to show the fist connect. You can pan off, kind of like they did in Game of Thrones. It's art. These are made up stories. Okay. Jesus Christ. It's not going to make people go do things. And that's what I think. It's like the PMRC has taken over the world. It really has. I'm going to get to the chat now because I haven't been looking in a few minutes. I really miss you guys. Let's get back over there. Let's see if I'm focusing again. Oh, there it is. It's focusing. Not that anybody's watching because I really don't recommend it. So let me go up. Again, I don't have a problem with them changing their characters and all and flipping the script on that one. I actually was a poor white kid on the streets doing drugs. So I identify a little bit with her character. Yeah. My kids know about I think I've said this in the podcast. There's a Long John Silver's in Encinitas, California, and they had a big old bush in front of it. I don't know what kind of bush it was, but I lived under that for a long time. That was home sweet home. And every time they bitch about something, I'm all, I lived under a bush in Encinitas, California, where it was kind of warm all the time. So it really wasn't a bad place to be outside. But yeah, that was a long time ago. So here we go. And my point, I really hope I didn't stir up any of the racial stuff. The whole point was them feeling the need to change the script and then talk about it the way that, you know what, just change the script and go, yeah, we made some changes to the origin. But there's so much self-congratulating going on that I cannot believe. The people are not self-aware anymore. They're just not. Me included. Gary, it's probably because marketers, not storytellers, are calling the shots in these big blockbuster movies. Probably we're getting that kind of stuff. Yes. Yeah, I agree with that, Jody. That is a very good focus, Gary. Says Half-Foot Crow. Gary, which is why I hate it when they drop terms like quadrant. Then talk about writing story for movies. I know, right? They are forcibly administrating the bloody drugs. Right. It was forcibly administrated. It wasn't them taking them. Oh my God. To continue an earlier thread, you can't do Dark Knight Returns without Reagan. I don't think any other president could fit there. No, Dark Knight Returns would have to be a period piece. It would have to take place. Well, you can make it now and just, it's in an alternate world. So Reagan's still alive and that's the way it is, you know. It's the future, and we see this young version, but the old Reagan is in the wheelchair and stuff. Yeah, it totally can't work. Apple, yeah, that's like Justice League, The New Frontier without Kennedy, right? Oh, you guys are so good. New Frontier is so wonderful. That is so. If you guys have not read New Frontier, get it digitally, do whichever you can. They were doing a Comixology special on Amazon not too long ago. I don't know if that's part of it. I would check. I don't know which Cloak and Dagger they haven't read. See, as a black guy, I can look at this and realize that the story originally took place. It was written at a different time, but I could some people who have no idea where this comes from. Yeah, there is. You're right, and that's actually the vast majority of Ghost World. The vast majority are like, this is an origin you can play with, like Blade. When Blade came out, like, you can make it up whatever you want because nobody knew about Blade. I read Blade once and forgot about it. So the knee-jerking to call the race card. Yeah, they definitely want to do that. And it's, like, we can't do that. I mean, like, that's the beauty of this story. It was controversial at the time. It was. I remember them talking about it just because they were pairing up a black kid and a white girl. That was a little controversial. I think it was more like the media at the time, which was, Comic Shop News and stuff, was trying to make it. None of us had a problem. None of me and my friends had a problem with it. Again, it's my favorite story, Spider-Man storytelling. My favorite Spider-Man stories are not in Amazing Spider-Man. They're in Spectacular. The early 80s were so good. Pick up, I don't know. There was some good stories going on in Amazing as well. Like pick up Marvel Essentials, Amazing Spider-Man Volume 10. I think you can get it super cheap. That book, cover to cover, some of the best Spider-Man storytelling. And then I think for Spectacular Spider-Man, it's volume 2 or 3. I think maybe 3 because they were just hitting the 100s. But I think film/TV adaptations are their own medium and they are their own monster, says Feisty Fan. Yep. You can do whatever you want because the source material remains the source material and remains the superior material. I remember when Matlow's story, Davis 404 says, I remember Matlow's story perfectly. They were labeling Mantlo as a racist. They even got the story wrong. Thank you. That's one of the biggest, oh my God. And Feisty Fan knows about this. We're actually going to talk about this on Thursday on Comics Division again, when we get more into comic stuff, is reporting has gotten so shady lately. And especially with, and Davis 404, I'm sure you see this a lot. I've even seen Comic Book Girl 19 get stuff wrong. And like, I get stuff wrong. I owned a store for 10 years and I get stuff wrong. Nobody gets everything right. That's fine. But when you have time to research and you don't, like when you're writing something, like when we're just, talking on YouTube, I don't have time to Google stuff, and I don't obviously script this at all. Here are my notes for today. I just talk. Okay. But when you're writing an article, do some goddamn research and don't paint Bill Mantlo as a racist. That's exactly what that article did. Thank you for making my point for me. This is why we talk to the chat. They're smarter than me. And I got more angry when you did that. I started seething. That's horrible because it's such a good story. It does this. Ooh, my God, I might do a separate video on that. I'll give you full credit, Davis 404. Ghost World. You got a merry story and the themes with us fans. Who can see where it is coming from, and those who watch a show casually are not knowing who or what it is. Yeah, I mean, there's no Spider-Man in it, so you just make it its own thing. That's fine. But what you always want to do is capture the essence of it, because for one, you're adapting a character. And I hope they did their research, because when you're adapting a character, you do need to put in there what made it appealing to people in the first place, even though none of these people might watch the show, because what made it appealing then still makes it appealing now. And it's the basis of the character. Okay. And it's the redemption story, again, of redemption stories of Cloak and Dagger, and how they work together, how these two kids who had some really screwed up shit happen to them. That's my package. Had some really screwed up shit happen to them, fought through it to become heroes. And that is a great story. It sucks Spider-Man's not going to be swinging in, and maybe they show up somewhere else, but they got to make the heart of the story right. Origins, crap, whose background, who has money. Honestly, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Calling the original creator basically a racist out the side of your mouth, that's some bullshit. That is some bullshit. It's already a deep cut, so I can't really blame the average audience for not knowing, just thinking a very harsh, stereotypically written character that depicts a black kid as a criminal. That would be the very first thing I would change. So again, that's what I was talking about with Robbie Reyes. Like making like it, you don't need to make either one of them a criminal, but making the girl criminal, totally believable. Like I said, I was a white kid on the streets committing crimes. So it's just as real. It's just as real. And he can be from a nice neighborhood. It's just as real. That's not the problem. The problem is just do it. And it was just how the article was written. But that's why I stay away from i09. Is the same reason I stay away from network news and stuff. It totally triggers me. But that's part of what these websites have to do. Like Bleeding Cool writes articles to piss people off. And it works. They're genius at it. They provide the YouTube comics community with more material than Marvel ever could. Is Bleeding Cool. Rich Johnston, who wrote about me without ever calling me for an interview. Yeah, so the only time I made news, so I made news one time. I was in Wired magazine. They were talking about the secret lives of comic book retailers, and they were just kind of wondering what we did in our free time. And all of us pretty much said comic books. We don't have free time. The other one was when I won Best of the Bay in 2009. Our store won Best of the Bay. Very proud moment. Beating out some pretty big like comic relief and stuff. That was, yeah, not bad for a carpetbagger from San Diego. And then when my shop closed and I sold it to Brian, and Brian said some really nice things about me, but yeah, they just didn't ask me for comment and said some stuff that was not true. But that's the way it goes. Clickbait, superhero for the modern age. Apple Crow, you have a mini comic right there. That's it. Clickbait. That's his power. He distracts bad guys with headlines. Gary, it's all about sensationalizing, pushing a sellable narrative, as opposed to reporting the facts. Yeah, post-truth era. We are in the post-truth era. That is a fact. Yeah, exactly. And hey, it's being human. I think we all have that instinct. That's true. That's true. But it's good to check ourselves on that instinct. Are we going to fully get rid of it? No. Do we want to fully get rid of it? No, no, because honestly, that's why we talk. That's why we have fun. But when it gets out of hand, it's good to just call it out. It doesn't mean it should ever stop. God, no, I would not want it to stop. One of my favorite things when I was in the UK was reading the British tabloids. Those are freaking incredible. They're so funny. They are so funny. Truthiness. Yeah. Let's just stay around truthiness as much as we can, you know? Yeah. So, and as Feisty Fan says, recovery. Yes. Because another saying in recovery is practice these principles in all of my affairs. Am I perfect at that? Hell no. I'm happy if I hit like 70%, but that's what we try to do. And truthiness is something we really need to stay with in the recovery thing. We've returned to the post-truth era. Oh, very deep, David. News was trash for centuries. That's true. That is true. Or if we remained in it, would you say? Yeah, that's for sure. No, read some of that older stuff. Yeah, it's pretty interesting actually. Who needs mind manipulation powers when clickbait exists? It is the new supervillainous power, getting people to believe something instantly. Professor X doesn't have anything on cheap headlines. Well said, Ghost World. Well said. That is so true. Yeah, we let Big Brother into the door, and when I say we, I mean me too. With Facebook and just posting everything about our lives, and some of you might not do it, and bless you for not. I did it, and yeah, yeah. We give internet hugs here. Hug back at you, Feisty Fan. Clickbait believes in truthiness, justiness, and the Apple Hot Pockets. Hot Pockets. LOL. Our tabloids. He's right. They suck. Are you in the wonderful UK, Zev? Yeah. When I was over there, your tabloids were the best entertainment. I spent like an hour reading. I bought every one, and I read it cover to cover. I'm like, man, we have got a long way to go here in the States to get to this kind of. They eviscerate people over there. It is so mean. It's like a whole press of mean girls. Not just all girls, but I'm talking like mean girls in the way mean girls were mean. But it was mean boys too. Well, that's why we need to transcend our basic instinct, challenging ourselves to be better. Isn't that the whole point of this journey of life we're on anyway? Yeah. But we get distracted so easily with as I said too many times this podcast, the low-hanging fruit. Brief period of excellence in news during radio and early TV years. Like the Walter Cronkite era and stuff, or was it Moreau? God, I should know this name. You're probably laughing at me, Davis. Edward R. Morrow. Thank you. That kind of era, I would believe so. I'm old, but I'm not. I remember seeing Walter Cronkite on TV. I do. I have the memory of Nixon resigning, and I was really young, but I completely remember that. Web hug, says Apple Crow, because I remember what my dad's reaction was. My dad's was a Reagan Democrat, turned into a Republican after Reagan, like a lot of people did in the 80s. But he was super disappointed in Nixon. I remember that. I remember him not being happy. Yep, UK. Well, hello, sir. What is it? What time is it there? It's noon here, so it's like what, 9 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, something like that. It's usually like 8 or 9 hours difference from San Francisco. I mean, I was so shocked when I flew over there. I took a double-decker Virgin Airlines, which if anybody gets like free tickets to, I highly recommend it because that was freaking, oh, they're gone now, right? Just a double-decker airline. They're cool because you don't feel that many bumps. I hate flying. Fucking hate it. And we got there in 9 hours. We did the Arctic route. I remember flying back and you can look down and we saw Greenland. And it's the first time I ever like looked at Greenland and ever seen a glacier in my life. I got picture. You see icebergs floating around. It was trippy. It's really trippy flying over the poles. Gary, that's why you need to be more vigilant. Social media manipulation is a thing. You wouldn't believe the sort of stuff they can do, manipulate us in these days. Yeah. I talk about triggering as manipulation. I mean, we've all done it. We're human. We all do it in our ways. But again, I'll call back to recovery. If I start being manipulative again, I'm on the road to destruction. It's very bad. But that's kind of one of those obvious sayings, you know, like killing is bad, you know. Yeah. So is manipulation. Web hugs. Yeah, page 3 more than anything showed what hypocrites tabloids are. Says Zev. Man, I can't wait to get back to your country. I freaking love it over there. I'd live over there. I would live over there. I would. I had such a good time in swinging London, but I went through the country, went to Salisbury, and the weirdest thing was when you go to Stonehenge and there's like a farm. There's like, you know, it's weird because like when you back off the pyramids, you see it's like right next to a big city, you know, and Stonehenge is supposed to be this mystical place. It's got a road and a parking lot. And they've already they paved over some like older shit from it by accident, like the Woodhenge part of it. And there's a big sign there that just says for like 3 paragraphs, summing it up, we have no idea how any of this shit got here. We know it came from far away. We don't know when it was built. We don't know who built it. We think it's this. Seriously love the fact that I could listen while working. Oh, thanks. I'll try to keep it cleaner, Feisty fan. And I know where you're working, by the way. And good. You're doing good work there. I can't wait to be doing that myself. I do miss it dearly. I do. It's diabolical. I mean, I don't miss doing the taxes. That sucked. It's diabolical when you stop to think about it, and it's particularly rabbit hole when it gets really freaky. What's going on? With just the whole culture war in the media right now. It got. I don't let things, you know, because things I can't control. It's no use getting worried about it. Like if a meteor's coming down, honestly, and this is what I've learned through recovery. If there's a meteor coming down, there's nothing we can do to stop it. I would just accept it, enjoy my time here, and and pucker up when it hits up, and it'll suck, but that's it, and that's kind of like when I see the culture wars in the media and just all this fighting, which is going to lead to no good eventually. I mean, this is not going to get better. I wish it would. The only way it gets better is we all dial out. This is what I do. I dial out, I tune out, and try to be better in my personal life and stuff I can control. So I try not to be as much of a dick as I was yesterday. Not perfect all the time, but I try. And that's the only way I can do anything about it. So I had a comic idea where Lex convinced Superman to run for president, but Bruce Wayne can't against him. That'd be kind of cool, Avacrow. Again, that's the great thing about DC. You can do an Elseworld, especially during election time. That would be pitch it, man. You can pitch stuff. You just got to put together. You don't even have to put together a full script, just an outline. And maybe you can find an artist to just draw one piece, because they can find the artist for you. You can pitch a script. I mean, the worst thing that can happen, Avacrow, is they say no. I have a friend. He's probably watching. Robert, how are you? I'm going to talk about you, buddy. He has cerebral palsy, and he pitches Marvel scripts, I think, monthly. like all the time. He has been rejected for years. Doesn't stop him. So I love him. He writes a little comic strip called, I think it's still online, called Hell on Wheels. And it's about him and his wheelchair. I'll find a link and I'll put it in the description. I haven't seen it for a while. I actually did some really piss poor art for him. I want to redo it. But I knew his dad. He used to shop my store, and he's just a really good kid. Hi, Rough Girl, says Mark, and I say it too. Leon Kennedy, I have been to Stonehenge in Salisbury. Beautiful. Bought a magical rock there. Yes. I bought this wooden carved Knights Templar. Yeah, I should have got a magic rock. That would probably made me feel better during the plane ride home. It's beautiful over there, though. It really is. And they're goddamn, they're nice on the trains there. Holy shit. They're smaller. They're way more efficient. They're on freaking time. And it's easy to understand. It's the tube system there. It's color coded to avoid confusion. And I got so, because I roamed London for 2 weeks by myself while my wife was teaching a class at Vidal Sassoon. And I got so good, I was telling Londoners how to get around London. That is a true story. Like, oh, not Londoners, but people from England were asking directions. Oh, no, just go down to Piccadilly Circus and da-da-da. Yeah. Because I just walked the streets for 2 weeks straight. I didn't have like a ton of money, and shopping there is really expensive. Yeah, Rough Girl, there's way too much fighting going on. I'm just yelling at this, like everybody loves a good bitch session. I love a good bitch session, complain about comics or something like that. Was sick to death. Especially being up here and people blocking freeways and crap and keeping them from getting to work. And that was pissing me off. And I'm glad it kind of calmed down there. But people were actually getting hurt in Berkeley. Like, it was getting nasty up here. I mean, it wasn't like the 60s or anything, but I just tune out and dance to 80s. That's making the world a better place. You're doing your part. Progress, not perfection. Yeah. Actually, and it's just because we're exposed to it more. This is the same shit that's been going on forever. We just know about it now. I don't think that's a good thing, to be honest with you. Brits believe in trains. They had tubes long before cars back in the 1860s. Yeah, man, they are damn efficient. And I am a car enthusiast. I love my car. They will pry my steering wheel out of my cold, dead hands. But goddamn, I love the British trains. The Channel's badass too. Expensive, but badass. My first interaction with the public in the UK was Welsh Burger King waiter and myself just getting furious trying to understand each other. Really? That's funny. They serve beer in their Burger King there. I went to a Burger King right off the London Bridge and got a veggie burger. That was awful. It's terrible. There was what was the name of the place? Pizza Express or Pizza Uno or something like that in London. And it was pretty much the only place we ate. They have these cool little grocery stores where all your food is prepackaged in London. So we paid a little extra money to get a kitchen and bought our own food and ended up saving a ton of money that way because the food isn't expensive as their stuff. And we made our own food. So it was definitely worth, like, we had the smallest little flat and it was a bed and a kitchen. So glad to have that kitchen now. Don't worry out. What does that say? Don't worry out, Crow. We have difficulty understanding the Welsh too. Oh, the Welsh. All right. So like, I think I had some other articles I want to get to. What time is it? It's only 1. We got some time. We'll do it for like another 30 minutes. Why not? We're good. Cause Ash vs. Evil Dead are usually a short one. We're doing that one later tonight. We're doing Ash. And then Wednesday, it's just Krypton. And then for like the next 8 Wednesdays, it's double header Wednesday here at the Nerdrotic channel with the Expanse and Krypton. That's good TV. I wish Sci-Fi would have spread it to another day. But yeah, so Legion, the Expanse, and Krypton. it's, it's been kind of quiet TV wise. I mean, we've had Counterpart, but it seems like, since the holidays, it's been a little quiet TV wise. That's about to change. By the end of April, we'll be covering 5 shows. Albacore says, "Oh God, Ash this week." I have not seen it, but apparently they dial it up. And Susan will talk about it later tonight. I got to go read her articles, but I'm pretty sure this is it for Ash. We're done. So you need to watch it because this is the last time you're going to see Ash. It's pretty much done. Bruce Campbell said we were supposed to know something by mid-March. It is come and gone, and I think no news is bad news. Yeah, it's so I have not watched. I like to watch it. I already missed Counterpart, says Rough Girl. I know, me too. So I think by next Sunday we're going to be glad it wasn't over, and we got that extra week. But the word on the street is it's not going to be a 2-year wait. It's going to be early next year. So actually, it's just like a 7 or 8 month wait. So that is great. What time is Ash later today, Jody? 7:30 Pacific time. We'll be on. That is a shame. Silver Spike. Ash was a damn good show. Was a damn good show. That's how you bring back a property, an IP. That will be my examples. Like, how do you do it? Just like they did with Ash vs. Evil Dead, except maybe take it to a better network. Stars is good at starting stuff. They're like the cave. They're another version of AMC. They just AMC should, every show should leave AMC with what they've done to Walking Dead. It's just, I would run, not walk away from AMC. Yeah. Let's see about the Silver Surfer. We talked about Legion. Oh yeah. So yeah, it's slow news day because Zach Penn, who was rebooting the Matrix, is also, unless it's a crossover, which would be a bold move and interesting. Rom the Space Knight. Rom the Space Knight, which was a toy property. Oh my God. I hate when they do ads on the god dang, and it's blasting my ears. Thank God you did not hear that. But it really blasted my ears. Ready Player One, Zach Penn to adapt Rom Space Knight. Deadline reports today that Zach Penn has signed on to adopt Rom for Hasbro's Allspark Pictures and Paramount Pictures. Allspark Pictures develops and production of live action entertainment around Hasbro's brands and related projects. Short for reader only memory, Rom originated as a toy and then a comic, Rom Space Knight. Hailing from a utopian society on the planet Galador, sorry, did I say Galador? Galador. Rom is a cyborg who, after defeating the invading dire wrath on its planet, continues to battle on Earth and other planets. Penn's recent projects, Ready Player One, is set to be released on Wednesday by Warner Brothers Pictures. We'll see how well that does. Isn't this weird how this happens? Perceived hit movies coming out, and all of a sudden, writer of perceived hit movie starts getting tons of jobs. Hit movie does good, jobs get followed through on. Hit movie does bad, creative differences. Zach Penn is okay. I mean, he's neither good nor bad. He's okay. I only see one stinker in his credits, to be honest with you. Zach Penn is most known for his work in adapting comic book and science fiction stories to the big screen. He's always been a huge fan of Rom. Really? Hasbro has been playing with the idea of adapting. Okay, I had a Rom toy. I read the comic books. There's nothing memorable about him, I don't think. The Rom now has showed up in other Marvel comics, though. That is cool. Penn has written scripts for numerous Marvel movies, including X-Men 2. Okay, it's, you know what? I still think it's a good movie. Elektra, not a good movie. Incredible Hulk, arguably the worst MCU movie. To some people, I think it was okay. I did like Norton as a Banner. I did. And the Avengers, which, yeah, I think a lot of people think that's good. He is also currently working on sci-fi original series Alphas, which I am looking forward to. Penn is currently working on a script for Warner Brothers that is set in the Matrix universe. So put ROM in the Matrix, and I think you got something there. I do. Otherwise, when you hear people say I've always been a huge ROM fan, I hate to call somebody a liar outright, but exaggerator. We'll just say exaggerator. The fact is that we are getting a ROM movie. So if you, there's still characters out there that have not been, like the son of Satan. Pretty much all of Marvel's horror characters have not been adapted in any way, shape, or form. Brother Voodoo, Man Thing. Okay, can't talk about Man Thing on Sci-Fi. Man Thing, Werewolf by Night, Dracula, Morbius. I know he's part of Spider-Man, but Morbius. You know, they haven't been done. And we're going to freaking ROM. Give me a Damian Hellstrom. Give me a Son of Satan. I mean, I'm talking Pentagram with this damn pitchfork. I want to see it. God damn it. And yeah, we haven't even seen a Wonder Man yet. You know, there's like so many Avengers we still need to get to too. Zach Penn has had some stinkers. That's show. Feisty Fan says, "Fuck is done. This is going to be my new ritual." What, doing fuck early? I think that's a good idea. Did you take up my suggestion of doing the emails? Got to do the emails. That makes you lots of money. I usually don't like sharing my my little insider secrets, but I'll share them with you, Feisty. Yeah, I think I blabbed a little bit of my business plan last week. That was dumb, but it's just us. You guys won't tell anybody. It's fine. No other retailers are watching, so that's good. No, listening to you. There you go. Oh, listening to me. Oh, thanks, man. I mean, man. Hey, man. I mean, thanks, Feisty Fan. Trade secrets. I have many, but I blabbed my business plan last week. I don't worry about it. Oh yeah, you were there. In fact, being too much of a fan of something can be detrimental to putting your ideas and omits on the script. Yeah, that's a balance, Ghost World. I'll agree with you a little bit. I would rather have somebody too much of a fan than not a fan at all. I'm not a big fan of the not fan. You can, like, working knowledge is good. Like, you don't have to be a huge like Avengers fan to work on it. You know, like Whedon was an X-Men fan and he worked on the Avengers at work because he knew the concept of teamwork and he was aware of the Avengers. It wasn't his favorite comic, but I'm sure he read many of them. I think that's perfect. If somebody has no idea, I was just watching a video on the making of Star Trek the motion picture, and Robert Wise, who's one of the greatest directors of all time, threw us a stinker, and it's because he had no working knowledge of Star Trek. So so you had one of the greatest directors of all time could not pull off a Star Trek movie because he had no working knowledge of the material, and beyond that didn't bother to go watch the old Star Treks. And that was something I was thinking about too. I didn't want to call it out there because I dislike very much so the calling out of fake geeks and posers, because we're not supposed to be about that. Us nerds, that is the one thing we are not supposed to be about at all. That's what brought us together, is we were the ones who were outcast. Some of you youngsters might not remember this, but we were the outcasts. We weren't welcome. You know, what reminded me of this was watching freaking Legends of Tomorrow, and White Canary's girlfriend treating Constantine like crap, like she's better, and like she was walking around pretty much thinking she was better than everybody else. And that's how a mean girl acted to us nerds back in the day. And that's why I thoroughly disliked it. And I see some of my nerds turning into what they hate. They're being elitist. They're getting in cliques. They're gatekeepers. They're keeping people out. We were the one thing that didn't keep. Every single person was welcome into our quote unquote community, which is like Comic-Con and stuff. I mean, like, you know, as much shit as I give the furries, they can absolutely exist and be a Comic-Con. Okay. I give them shit because it's, again, it's easy, but they're welcome. Of course they're welcome there. And we've always had fights and, you know, little arguments with each other, but we were never like, you cannot come in. And we've got that now. There is a certain type of fan who believes a certain way politically, who is not welcome in the circle, in some comic book circles now and at conventions. And I have a giant problem with this. It's not even about what they perceive other people believe. The fact that you're shutting the door on people based on beliefs that you don't, that one, you know, that they haven't even thought through. It's painting with a broad brush, and it's everything that's wrong. That's why this community is fractured and broken in so many ways, and it's wrong. That's just my belief, and that's what we are. Yeah, we can't nerd bullies and people calling people fake geeks, and then, you know, it's great to have new people in. It's great to have new people in. You know what? Help them. If they don't have knowledge, help them. Talk to them about it. That's what you're supposed to. That's also on the comic shop owners to do too. Help people. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. Because there's a good double argument for this. It won't be just a rant. I get excited when new people come into my store. I love it. Excuse me. I love when the kids come in, you talk to the kids. I love seeing new people. I was not shy. I had my bad days. I did. But I mean, I'll talk your freaking ear off when you come in the store. And we had couches and everywhere to kick back. So let me find this article, because I think the guy's good point gets lost in being kind of a social anxiety. I think that's the thing. Comic. I talk to myself a lot. That's the thing. I had this up. Other people have done videos on this, and that's fine. And we actually talked about it too. I want to read this to everybody and see what your interpretation is, because again, there's two ways you can look at this, you know, so I don't want to be totally harsh to the writer, but let's keep in mind that the writer writes comic books. And let's see if he's got a point. All right, here we go. And it's called "I Hate Going into Comic Shops," but I don't know how many. I hate going into comic book stores. Let me make sure I get to the right article here. Okay. All right. I have a commission. I'll start that over. I Hate Going into Comic Book Stores by Charles Pulliam Moore, hyphenated last name. I have a confession to make. Even though I understand the important role that they play in survival and evolution of the industry, I hate going into real life brick and mortar comic book shops with a burning passion. Excuse me. Because I didn't live near any comic stores as a kid, I grew up reading trades, checked out from the library before getting into the habit of buying them from the local borders whenever I could afford it with my allowance. It didn't really dawn on me until I was in middle school that people actually bought individual issues of comic books. Would people rather keep up with the X-Men on a bi-weekly basis when they could just sit down with a stack of trades and follow an entire arc from beginning to end over a weekend? I'm going to inject something in here, because those trades don't come out overnight. It takes time to build them. So if once you've burned through them, you're done. And you either wait another year or, and if that's how you like to read your comics, bless your heart. Bless your heart. But being the Pokemon card obsessed kid that I was, the idea of collecting comics had a certain appeal. So I made a point of begging my mom to take me to the closest comic book shop, which was 2 towns over. Now, I don't know where he is. 2 towns over could be like here in San Francisco, which is 5 miles. Or it could be in South Dakota, where it's 50 miles. After weeks of nagging, plans were made to make a day of venturing off to the comic shop, which shall not be named. And I strapped into our car, eager at the promise of getting into a new hobby. I hope he's not basing this off of one shop. I'm just going to interject that right here. Looking back on the moments when I first set foot in the store, I wouldn't describe my feelings as being particularly positive or negative, but it was definitely overwhelming. Okay, injection here by Gary. Social anxiety is a thing. It's not anything to be laughed at. It's not, but it is treatable. Like many stores, the walls were lined from ceiling to floor with gleaming covers that were nothing compared to the intricate labyrinth of long bookcases stuffed with toys and graphic novels that were older than I was. As fun as it is to see mountains of comics piled as high and as far as the eye can see, it was also intimidating because of how foreign and confusing the store's organizing was. Brand new comics were displayed all over the store, seemingly at random places, and have no real rhyme or reason to tracking down the issues that had come out from the week before. And here's a mid quote. Why I asked myself, would people rather keep? That's just a dumb quote. The obvious solution to my problems was just to ask somebody where everything was. Interjection here. Yeah. But the response I got from the clerk was, DC's there, Marvel's over there. Is there something you're looking for? Quick moment here. I don't have a problem with that to a point. Wasn't exactly helpful because all of this was new to me, and what I really needed was some time and guidance. Did you ask for it? We can't read your mind. I would have followed up. Well, I mean, he says, is there something you're looking for? What does he want? Does he need to lay out a red carpet? Jesus Christ. Okay, sorry, I'm not going to get upset. Trying to remain neutral. I ended up in the manga section, surrounded by a bunch of solemn-looking adults as I nervously stared at the stuff full of great teacher Onizuka, even though I wanted to be nearer to the card captor Sakura display. Eventually, I wove my way through the packed aisle, grabbed a couple of books without bothering to read the back covers, and beelined my way to the register to make my purchase, feeling more anxious and than excited. It would be years before I set foot into another comic shop again. As I've gotten older and incorporating my love of comics into my professional life, I have better understanding of what it was about the first experience that rubbed me the wrong way, because my feelings are largely the same. All comic stores are different. Okay, yeah, they are. But there are certain problems that many shops seem unable to stop repeating. Again, I'm going to ask you, how many shops have you been to? For every person who has a fond memories of spending hours poring over comics in their LCS, there are dozens more who don't have the kind of relationship to those spaces and don't immediately feel as if they belong. I will interject something else. You have to be welcoming to your customers. You can't please everybody. You absolutely cannot, but you have to try. Okay, I will say that. That being said, the feeling of belonging is not somebody else's responsibility to give you. You need to work that out for yourself. That is an inner thing, not an outer thing. Okay. It's all about self-confidence and self-love. and insecurity and whatever other hangups or non-hangups you have that we all have, and we all have to go through. It is, again, up to the retailer to make you initially feel welcome, saying hello to you at the door. Every person who walks through that door, somebody should be saying hello. A, to acknowledge your presence, and B, to let you know that I'm watching you if you come to steal shit. That there's a dual meaning for that hello. My hellos are genuine. I don't assume you're coming into my store to steal, but I am not naive enough to think that you can be the nicest looking guy in the world and want to steal me blind. Okay. Or girl. Back to the article. As simple as it sounds, the easiest and most immediate ways to address that issue is to simply make things easier to find for newbies. Agreed. Could not agree more. Could not agree more. Who are unfamiliar with the store's layout. More than that, though, it is far too few stores make the concern. Okay, again, how many stores? Tell me how many stores you have been to. I need a number. Don't be like throwing out these just random things without backing them up with some facts, because it sounds to me like you're basing it on like 1 or 2 stores. That is some bullshit. Okay, I'm going to continue. For newbies, for familiar layout. More than that, though, far too few stores, again, no number given, making a concerted effort to prominently display a wide selection of series beyond major titles like the Avengers or Justice League. I'm going to read that again. Far too many stores make a concerted effort to prominently display a wide selection of series beyond major titles. Well, why would they do that? That's silly. They should stop. They should just put Avengers and Justice League up. Okay. Even now, whenever I happen to be in a shop browsing, it's often okay. How many shops have you been to? A siphoning effort to dig through all the flagship books in search for new titles to read. Okay, so sometimes flagship books sell out and they have no control over that. So we put up what we can sell. And I'll go more on organization when I'm done with the article. If it isn't disorganization, then it's the mobs of people standing right up against the racks. Okay, yeah, because we don't want people in our comic store. And shelves who make nearly impossible to actually see what is there when you're looking, or what you're looking for. More often than not, comic shops feel overstuffed museum shops full of people who are all lost in their own worlds and unconcerned with making physical space or no. Dude, you sound like you have a lot of needs that need to be met. You would be, I would call you a high maintenance customer. Yeah. I'll just say that it sounds like oh boy. Physical space for one or another moving through comfortably. Okay. Okay, princess. We'll bring in some shag carpeting and I'll hold your hand through the store and I'll tell you a story while I'm doing it. There's all sorts of things for the store's management should address, and yet, in my experience, they don't. And that's a deeply disheartening when you consider that it's becoming harder and harder for comic shops to stay open. I would love nothing more than to say I've developed a meaningful relationship with any of the comic stores. I live close to these days. Comic stores I live close to these days, but unfortunately, it's just not the case. I don't know how I ever will be. I'm not going to read the comments. So Charles, you write comics. First thing I'm going to tell you is retailers talk to each other. And so I'll say that now. Where I will agree with Charles is organization is the key. You do need to make it as easy as possible for new people to walk in and understand things. Big signs, although most people don't read big signs, and everybody's got a different view of organization. I was of the keep it simple, stupid. So I did completely 100% alphabetized by the core title. So, and then I separated Marvel and DC and Independence. Independence was Image and down. And I would not separate the independents. And then it was just title. So when somebody walked in, where do I find the new releases? The Marvel new releases are there. They are alphabetized by title. Now, if you're confused on the Spider-Man and X-Men, that is a core title. Okay. So just if you look for a Spider-Man and X-Men book, look under S or look under X. Same thing with DC. When it got to Image and under, which is Dark Horse and everything, it is purely 100% alphabetized by the title. If you have trouble looking for anything, I will help you find it. If I don't have it, I can order it for you and have it here in my store within a week if it is not sold out. I went beyond that. I would just eBay something for people. All right. So I would tell them I'll have it for you in a week. If I don't have it here, I can get it for you. That was my biggest thing. And sometimes I lost money trying to get somebody a comic book, but I that's why when I sold my store, I had almost 400 subscribers. I had a lot of subscribers. It was kind of a club. You got a deal on new releases, on you got discounts on certain things, and you got rewards, and I kept it up, and I did not charge, and I never asked for a credit card number. You had a minimum, a 5-issue minimum, and you had to pick up your books in 30 days. That was the only stipulation, and I was very loose on that. So as far as organization is concerned, you just got to keep it simple, and you just got to be very helpful, and your staff has to be very helpful. That's all it takes. Now, I'm thinking this guy wrote an editorial based on probably going to 3 or 4 comic stores. Probably has a little bit of social anxiety. I don't think there was a lot of actual research. There was no actual facts backing up any of his claims. All I heard was a comic store that will be named. I didn't hear any numbers. So this is purely an opinion piece, probably to get some clickbait. So I baited. I'm like a big old bass and I bit. But I think it should bring up a conversation that it is on the, with all this crap going on with comic shop owners right now, that it's on them too. And I talked about this last podcast. It's on them too, to be organized. The problem is they're running on shoestring budgets. They can't really afford to hire people, and employees in California are incredibly expensive. When you're paying somebody $18 an hour in California, it's more like $24 an hour because of disability and all the other stuff you got to pay out. A lot of people just don't know how the world works. Okay. So hiring people in California is in San Francisco, it's incredibly hard. If your business gets to a certain size, you have to give them medical benefits, even though they're not full time. You're getting taxed to death, and I'm glad I don't run someplace in the city of San Francisco, and I would never will. Not again. That being said, I actually went to some comic shops over the last year, and the organization was awful. It was just stuff thrown up everywhere. Not how I do it. I'm not going to tell a man or woman how to do their shop, but it doesn't. Sometimes comic shops don't attract the hardworking. I'll just say that. It was even a surprise to me, like how much work it was, like to own a good shop and keep it up the right way. To each his own and how they run their shops. But it is definitely a lot of work. So, interesting article. I think it does very poorly bring up, the everybody has gone into a comic store that sucks. Okay. And, that's why we had the comic book guy. Us retailers had to fight that goddamn comic book guy. And we heard like every time somebody said like, God, you actually have a good shop and you're nice. I thought I was going to get a comic book guy. I'm like, I've had a freaking dollar for every time I heard that. And other retailers know what I'm talking about. It was a good thing and a bad thing that the Simpsons came up with that, and it's because it used to exist. And it's not a good thing to have a comic book guy. It isn't. I don't want to downplay that at all. Comic shops have to do their part into making people feel welcome, and everybody feeling welcome. And one of the worst things I experience in a comic store is I walk in and it's the clicks. It's like the people hanging around the counter and talking, which we did too, but I always tried to, I broke off from that group. Once another person walked in, I broke off, gave that other person my attention. The group I was talking to totally understands why I broke off. You don't stay huddled in conversation and make that person feel like an outsider. That's the thing I see the most in any retailing, that what's left of it is like little cliques breaking off. And that's way more uncomfortable than walking into a store and it's just you and the owner, but again, that's on me. If if I'm walking into a man's store, he's the only one there and I feel uncomfortable when he didn't do anything, all I did was walk in the door, that's on me. So I'll get back to the chat. Enough of this nonsense. Where did I put you, chat? Where did I put the chat? I put you somewhere. There you are. I've got so many freaking windows up right now. How's everybody doing? You still with me? I wasn't looking at the chat, so I have no idea. You could all just bailed. There we go. I see. I just got a notification from Englantine. There you go. He must have just put up a video. I'm raging over here. I can't even. Oh, was that when I was reading the article? Sorry. This article, Feisty Fane says this article is terrible. Yeah, it's a hit piece on comic shops, and I even popped that in EVS when I was commenting on one of his videos. It seems like there seems to be some coordination going on in the media, a la Gamergate. Not going to get into it here. There's a lot of sides to Gamergate and blah blah blah, but there seems to be some media coordination, definitely attacking some certain YouTubers going on right now, and I think there might be a deflection coming because there's so many comic stores closing down and it looks so bad for the industry that I wouldn't be surprised if the industry comes out and says, do we really need comic stores anyway? They're just so outdated. We don't need them anyway. And just watch the entire industry turn on comic stores. Now, as a comic shop owner, I was always a little paranoid of that. And many retailers are, because the minute they like drop digital and stuff, it's God dang it. There we go. The blurry again. What's going on there? I must have hit this. There we go. It's still blurry. Why is it doing that? That's weird. I'm going to turn off my camera for a second and see if that fixes it. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to get to the chat here and then we're going to roll out. So it's just one shop. Yeah, I think it's that Jody and the non-creatives interjecting things and firing creatives when they face palm. Yeah, thank you so much. Look, we know Silver Surfer has to be silver all over. That's why we had Adidas make silver tracksuit for him. It's going to kill Eastern European market. The story fits in with my observation. The kids that are shepherded to comic stores by their parents, they can't come in by themselves. Can't make it a habit. My mom, thankfully, was not a helicopter parent and dropped me off in Oceanside, California, which was miles from my house. She went shopping and I hung out at Professor X's Comics forever. And even before that, Pacific Comics in San Diego, and then Comic Kingdom in Leucadia. I would hang out there for hours, to the point where the owner had me sweeping floors. I was hanging out there so long. So technically my first job was in a comic shop. I was sweeping floors and he would give me some of the strip covers. And then I became a paper boy to pay for more of my comics. The article is terrible. Yeah. Feisty Fan says she is raging over that article. Yeah. Wow. I guess my local shop before they closed were just total exceptions to this person's experience, says Penn Farm Girl. Yeah. It has been a long time. Even the I walked into a disorganized shop in Southern California. The guy was still nice. He probably is like overwhelmed with his work. And yeah, I'm biased. I am totally biased. I am an ex-comic retailer and I'm going to side on the retailer side to a point. I still think, I would have bought more stuff in a store if I could have found it. You know, so that's just write that, guys. I would try to spin it positive. Like, I've had a couple bad experiences, but here's how to make things better. And he kind of says that, but he paints such a broad brush and pretty much says it's over. Comic stores suck. And I hope I don't start seeing more of these, because then I'll be right about this media coordination thing. I think I'm wrong though. I think this person got, I didn't go through all the comments, but he got a lot of shit. Wait, what? Does the writer of this article even understand how a comic store works? How can they order so many copies or display so much space? I know. And he doesn't. And he's writing for comic books for i09, and he still doesn't understand how it works. And did he talk to any retailers for this article? I would have. You wouldn't have got a disagreement from some people. I mean, there's bad in everything. There's shitty grocery stores. Okay. God dang it. Why are comic stores not like the internet? Suggested title. Why are comic stores not like the internet? Well said, Apple Crow. Man, maybe I should change the title to this video to that. Face palming so hard. Good, Apple Crow. And serve a venti macchiato, Gary. Would like cocoa and some fluffy slippers while I'm at it. Gary, does that guy get out much? He sounds like a shut-in. Yeah, totally. i09 is so cringe. I'm sorry. That will never happen again on this podcast. Dennis goes there a lot. That place. This is why I don't read it. Gets my blood pressure up. One of the best things that happened in my job was any student with any special need had a testing space in the other side of the camp. One of the best things that happened in my job was any student with any special need had a testing space on their side of the campus this year. That's cool. So they made it for them. Honestly, this is a plight of a small bit of. This is the plight of all small business shops. Mom and pop stores are dying and closing for a reason. It's not easy. No. If it was, if retailing was easy, everybody would do it. But as middle range retail stores go out of business, I actually think you're going to see more mom and pops coming up. So, like, there has been a resurgence here in the city of vinyl. Lots of record stores popping up, and there's always been a lot of bookstores in San Francisco, because San Franciscans do make a concerted effort, and I will paint this with a broad brush, to support their small businesses. They really do. They go out of their way. Yeah, they're just like that. That's a common thing with San Franciscans, is they really try to help small businesses. Which is weird, because I don't know. People can spout one part of their politics, but they're very supportive of the small capitalists, which is kind of what capitalism was supposed to be. Was supposed to be like entrepreneurship and stuff, and not this ginormous thing that we got going on right now with 6 companies running all media. So dumb. This is why we can't have nice things. You're right, Feisty fan. That's it. We're so it was a slow news day, so he decides to turn on the one thing that, like my daddy always told me, always kick a man when he's down. That's pretty much what he did. It's possible to print on demand and mail out. Yeah, that's true. That has been pitched. On demand printing for comics. Not every comic shop will be set up the same way. It is up to the individual to ask and interact with each location to become familiar. It's not up to the owner. It is not. And that's the beauty of comic shops. They're all so different. It's not like walking into a freaking Best Buy where they're all the same everywhere. I'm surprised Barnes & Noble is still around. Still a nice place to read when it's quiet. Agreed, Leon Kennedy. I cannot, with Borders going out, I thought Barnes & Noble was right behind it, and it wasn't. And I love going to Barnes & Noble too. I do. Listen, the comic shop I go to, he doesn't have, his walls aren't filled. He's very minimalist, and that's how you have to survive right now. So he's got a pretty decent trade rack. He's got some older toys, a couple pop vinyls, and some new releases, and a few back issues. It's a nice little mix. It's nothing huge. It's nothing extraordinary, but it's there. He's open every day. He's a nice guy. He pulls my books for me. He'll chat with me a little bit. That's all I need. And you know what? I don't even need to chat that much. I can just go in and get my books and leave. I'm good with that. But I'm chit chatty, obviously. So it's not anything extraordinary. You know, when I was at my store, I tried to make something extraordinary, you know, and I shot for the stars and, you know, missed a little bit. But if I had to do it over again, I'd probably do it the same way. I like to go balls out. I'd love, it was so much fun. Is the Meltdown comic store the place where they filmed Kevin Smith's comic book show? I believe so. They filmed remember Attack of the Show? So when they did the new releases stuff, they started out at Golden Apple. I know the owner of Golden Apple. He's a good guy. And then they started moving over to Meltdown. And that's what kind of made Meltdown big. Meltdown was in like one of the highest rent districts for a comic shop ever, except for Midtown. Midtown's probably the highest rent, but Meltdown's like a close second. It was a big store. It was an expensive store. So I'm not entirely surprised it went under. Yeah, it had movie stars going there and everything, but that only goes so far. That only goes so far. They experienced a peak a few years ago, and now we're the time is coming way gone that the movies are going to help comic stores, and we're at the post end of this. The time of the nerd will run its course, and we'll go on to something different and new. But it's been a long run and a fun run. And I am enjoying it. I'm never going to go. I'm not a trendy nerd. I'm going to be one till I die and like comics till I die. And, I'll be a +1 in the comic category when I come back sooner than later. I split my buying between Barnes & Noble and local store Clockwork Comics. Good man. Good man. Spread the love. Yeah. So, we're going to talk. Feisty and I will be on Comics Division's channel on Thursday talking about like what comic shops we're really going to try to spin this positive, like what can they do? Like, let's spitball, let's throw out some ideas. It's got to be more in comic stores too, though. Marvel's got to like make comics cheaper and blah, blah, blah. We're going to talk about that in depth on Thursday night on Comics Division channel at 8:00. I'm going to wrap things up here. I've been going for almost 3 hours and I've got to pee. So all that coffee I drank. Apple Crow, Penn Farm Girl, Leon Kennedy, Rough Girl, Brian Smart, Davis 404. By the way, the patrons, I got to get your packages out too. That's the one thing I've got to get out. So I'm going to get your tracking numbers today. All realistically, they're probably going to go in the mail tomorrow morning when I head to work. Silver Spike, Davis 404, Jody. I already said Silver Spike and Apple Crow, Ghost World. Just looking if I missed any. If I miss any of you, thank you for participating in the chat. JP, Zev Bellringer. And I'm going to pull up the patrons right now. And you can see your name. There you go. So Jody Viking Bitch, Apple Crow, Eric, Lawrence Howe, Kristen Conine, Shakuri Lamas, Richard Seth Jones, Isaiah Norton, Fanon Ruff, Penn Farm Girl, Brian Smart, and Arturo Espinoza. Thank you very much for being our patrons, and we're going to have some fun stuff for you soon. I'm getting the packages ready, very excited, and you're going to get emailed your tracking number sometime this evening. As we come back to me, I will be back in a few short hours at 7:30 for Ash versus Evil Dead recap. And everybody, by the way, Leon Kennedy, if I hadn't said your name, thank you. And Mark Mignana. See you later. Nerdrotic.com is our website. That's where all our videos and podcasts are for the audio version. We are on iTunes. We are on Player FM. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell And again, if you're interested in the comic book talk, go to Comics Division's channel Thursday at 8 o'clock, where I will be with Pen Farm Girl, who has joined us in the chat. And well, you can be a patron Feisty fan, and we will be. Did I say Pen Farm Girl? I meant Feisty fan. No, I mean, Pen Farm Girls, welcome. But we're going to be talking retailing on again on Comics Division's channel, and that's about it. So again, I will be back next Monday at 11 a.m. ish for the Monday morning live stream, and we will talk about whatever happens between now and then. So everybody, good night, good morning, wherever you are. Thank you for listening to me ramble for 3 hours. And you guys are awesome. You make the show. It was so much fun, and I can't wait to do it next Monday. So remember, kids, progress, not perfection. Good night.